So this other part actually asks us to use, it doesn't ask us to use any factorization per se, but then it has these guideline. Okay, so it says correct to 2 decimal places. When they tell you this, it simply means you don't have exact roots as in the previous equation that we had. So you're actually supposed to use the quadratic formula, which is obviously advisable. But then where they want the exact value, you'd have to complete the square. Okay, or even use a quadratic formula and then not actually punch the actual numbers. Okay, so we'll look at this, I'm sure, in some other problem sometime when they want the exact value for where the roots are not obvious. So here I'm going to work out the second problem. It's like 3x squared minus 2x minus 6 equal to 0 here. So now notice that this is analogous to our general formula for quadratic. Okay, so the general quadratic equation is ax squared then plus bx then plus c. Okay, the reason this is important is that we want to know the value for a, b, and c. Okay, so the reason this is important is that a, b, and c are the numbers that actually define the quadratic formula. Okay, so if you know the value of a, then you can go ahead and substitute. So in this case, a is equal to the coefficient of x squared, which is 3 for this case, and then b is equal to the coefficient of x, which is -2. Remember, a number owns the sign to its left hand side, so you're supposed to uproot the 2 with the negative as well. Then c is obviously -6, like this. So after doing this, you have to recall your quadratic formula. So quadratic formula, it says for this one here, for this equation here, it says x is equal to -b, then plus or minus square root of, then b squared minus 4ac. You're supposed to recall this from memory, but then you can also use the formula booklet, okay, or the formulas at the end of the paper. So you have this, and what we're going to do is to substitute now. You have x equal to negative. There is a negative which is there already. It's naturalized. Then you have to factor in the b part. So the b part actually has its own negative. The way that you avoid getting careless with your signs is that you just whenever you substitute, always use brackets, even in cases where it's obvious. Okay, it will help you get a hang of handling signs. Okay, so this is b negative. This is b squared. So already b was -2, so that's why I wrote this, and then minus. Then there's a 4 which is naturalized. I have to write a it's 3. Then I have to write c it's -6, which is good for us. Okay, and then obviously the whole thing is over 2 multiplied by a, which is 3 here. Okay, so this is good. So here what I get is negative and negative. I get 2, and what I'm trying to do by simplifying this, because you're supposed to ultimately use your calculator, but then if you're wise, you can actually just straight up punch this whole thing. It would give you the correct answer. But then what I like to do is to simplify it a little bit so that I don't get careless with my signs. Okay, so here I get 4, then plus. Here I get plus in the sense that negative and negative gives me a positive. So here I'm going to simplify it up to 12 multiplied by 6, like this. Okay, I don't need to simplify further. You can actually tell that 12 multiplied by 6, it's 72. If you want, you can go ahead and write that, it's still fine. But then I want to finish it up to this point, just because I know my substitution will be would be easy like that. Okay, so what I'll do is to take my calculator, and then whenever you have your calculator, let me actually delete everything that's there. Okay, so let me actually delete everything so that you know this is how you do it. So you take your calculator, depending on the module, obviously. You're supposed to use a scientific calculator, so I'm guessing everyone has this part where they can use the fraction. Okay, so here I'm going to write 2. Then here it says plus or minus on this part. So what we are going to do is to actually do the plus part first. So it'd be 2, then plus, then square root. So square root, it's this part here, and then we have 4. So I get 1.79, okay? It says to 2 decimal places, so I get 1.79. So I'm going to, right here, I'm going to say x is equal to 1.79, but this is a quadratic, so there's also a second value for x that we have to define, okay? So here you probably know this, but you're not supposed to rewrite the whole thing. What you can do is to go on the positive side, then you put negative there. So you get negative 1.12, okay? So you get negative 1.12. So I'm going to write or negative 1.12 like this, okay? So this is my answer. So these ones would be your actual answers, okay? In later video, I will be telling you how you can actually verify some of these answers, okay? So you can actually verify and know whether you're doing the correct thing or not. But then essentially for the second part, this is how you go about it. Just use your quadratic formula and then substitute just punch it on your calculator when you feel comfortable, and then you should be fine, okay? And remember, you're supposed to do for two answers just because it's a quadratic equation, okay?